Think back to when you were a kid. What was your favorite animal? For me, mine was, and still is to this day, the giraffe. I find the giraffes are highly underrated and quite interesting creatures. From their defense mechanisms, which are simple yet effective, their eating and drinking habits, which are some of the most unique in all of the animal kingdom, and their advantages and disadvantages that they endure as giraffes, I find that they're really interesting. After hearing the information that I present to you in this speech, you might find that giraffes have suddenly become your favorite animal too. Let's begin with its defense mechanisms. The defense mechanisms are rarely used with giraffes, but when they are efficient. The necks, for example. The necks on giraffes are a quirk, per se, but they also are put to good use. Giraffes do something called neck wrestling, which is used to establish authority as well as used as a mating technique within the herds that they go through. It's not dangerous, and it's actually very rare for them to go through with a deathly neck wrestling event, but it does come in handy with the alpha males, per se, of the herd. Height also comes in handy. When you pair their height with their excellent eyesight, which they can see up to half a mile away, it allows them to avoid dangerous predators that a typical 6-foot man wouldn't be able to see. Giraffes can also cover a good amount of land in a very short amount of time. They can run up to 35 miles per hour if provoked or scared, which means that they can carefully evade predators and also possibly wear down predators that are chasing them. However, I find that the biggest defense mechanism that giraffes have are their hooves. If you've ever seen a giraffe, you know how big their hooves are. To give you a perspective of it, giraffe hoofs are 12 inches long and 9 inches wide, which is huge. The lethal aspect of the hoof is the fact that it can kill a full-grown adult lion with just one kick. That's insane, and it's a lot easier than other defense mechanisms that animals have in the jungle. The next information is about the giraffes' eating and drinking habits. Due to their height, giraffes have a very unique routine with eating and drinking. Giraffes are vegetarians by nature, and they enjoy acacia leaves the most, but they'll eat other vegetation if they have to. The San Diego Zoo caretakers have actually found out recently that giraffes enjoy sweet onions as a treat from time to time. The tongues are 18 inches long in giraffes, meaning that they get leaves that are typically out of range for other animals. And giraffes actually get most of their water from the vegetation that they consume. They typically eat 75 pounds a day. Large males will typically eat 100 pounds a day, but majority of their water comes from that because they can't typically get to the watering hole as often. The giraffes eat very similarly to cows. They have a 4-chambered stomach, and they regurgitate like cows, so they redigest their food over and over again, meaning that the total amount of feeding time that they have throughout the day is 15 to 20 out of the 24 hours a day that they have. However, the most interesting thing to me was how they eat. Males and females refuse to eat off of the same part of a tree. This means that there's no competition for the food, so the males and females won't engage in neck wrestling or fighting in general, and it's typically a sign of respect. The drinking habits of giraffes. They typically will drink 10 gallons of water every day if they're at the watering hole, and if they're not, then they get that 10 gallons from the vegetation that they're consuming. They can also go long periods of time without water, which comes in handy. It's very interesting to me. The most unique thing that I found while researching was the advantages and disadvantages of the giraffe. It's general knowledge that giraffes are the tallest animals in the world. Females hit about 14 to 16 feet tall, and males are about 16 to 18 feet tall. Height proves to be a disadvantage, however, as well as their weight. Giraffes typically weigh 2,000 pounds or so, and 550 of that is in their head and neck. 2,000 pounds is a lot to be lifting up and down all the time, so they have adapted to standing up majority of the time. They even happen to sleep a lot of the time standing up. However, it's not a very long period of time that they end up sleeping. It's typically only 5 to 30 minutes, and they like to sit to sleep, but they can't always do that. But when they do, they like to wrap their neck around their body and rest it on their hind parts or on the floor. And if they rest it on the floor, it creates a nice little arc pattern, and it has no damage to their neck whatsoever. However, their biggest disadvantage is drinking. It's dangerous for giraffes to go to the watering hole due to the predators that are lurking around, because they know how vulnerable giraffes are. And the neck isn't long enough to reach the watering hole. So National Geographic has gone out and observed giraffes, and they have found that giraffes are forced to bend out their legs at an awkward angle and attempt to drink from the watering hole. The video clip below actually shows footage of a giraffe drinking, and you can see their awkward technique. Giraffes also have elastic blood vessels in their neck, which proves to be an advantage while they're drinking, and it allows them to not faint while they're consuming their 10 gallons of water. So let's recap. Giraffes are underrated, and they aren't seen as interesting creatures. However, the defense mechanisms are unique and effective. Their eating and drinking habits are out of this world and very useful for the giraffe. And their advantages and disadvantages are hard, but they've learned to adapt and survive with them. I think that they are unique. And next time you go to the zoo, please try and embrace the uniqueness of the giraffe and take part of the beauty that they are. Appreciate their hooves, their necks, and their lack of sleep, among other things. And hopefully now you see why they're my favorite animal. Don't forget to check out the video below.